we start every segment with this tune?
You like it, huh?
I like the tune, and it's kind of right. Look, Kathy Boyle, the president at Chapin Hill. I want to talk about the markets here and kind of where we are. We're looking at Dow Jones Industrial Average right now, down up 279 points in the day, despite the big sell-off in China this morning.
Near the highs of the session.
Right now, this is the 10th session with gains or changes in the Dow of over 200 points. But are we in a bear market? Are we in a bull market? Where do we stand right now, Kathy? I wonder. When you look at what's going on in these markets right now, does it matter? And what do you think? Are we in a bull or bear market?
Well, I actually think we have entered a cyclical bear market. I think the bull was running for 6 years, and I just wrote a market comment titled "Escalator Up, Elevator Down," and that tends to be what happens. You'll have a very volatile market in bear markets. You'll have these spikes like this, 300, points. Last week we reversed 5% from the lows on Wednesday. We're down 500 and change on the Dow on Wednesday morning. And by the end of the week, we closed up 107 on the Dow. So that was a 5% turnaround. But the worst stocks did the best. And so it was really a technical oversold bounce. And I think, you have to expect days like today. Like today, everything's about oil. So yeah, are they going to cut it? Because everybody's now dependent on oil. Oil has become the new Fed. And that's the problem today.
So that's interesting. How do global central banks kind of factor in to your outlook here? Do you anticipate that they're going to be coming in with some kind of rescue?
Well, how much more can they rescue? I mean, all they're doing is delaying the inevitable. Mohammed El-Arian just said, we're coming to a day of reckoning. The Fed is now, they're up against the wall. They raised 25. Gundlach of Double Line thinks that they're going to have to back off on that. Right. But where else can they go? They can't go below zero on the Fed fund rate, right? And so, Europe, there's tons and tons of money markets that are in the negative. You have to pay the banks to actually have your money. So I think, I think that they're just trying to delay the inevitable. Certainly last week with Draghi coming out and saying whatever it takes certainly sparked the rally last week.
Yeah.
So in regards to that, I mean, I want to dig a little more deeper to this sort of look at oil then. Is oil maybe something we should pay more attention to? In what ways does oil sort of take control of interest rate policy?
Well, I think the scary thing about oil, Corey, is that a lot of the banks have made very, very big loans to the oil companies. The whole fracking boom is financed. And right now they're losing money. I heard Russia is losing $1 per barrel for what they're pumping now. I don't know what the number is in the United States, but they're all losing money. And so there's a lot of leverage. There's a lot of loan losses being put aside. Wells Fargo put away very close to $1 billion for loan loss reserves for one energy supplier. There was another smaller bank in Regions, which is a medium-sized bank. The loan loss reserves that they're putting aside for oil is very large. So I think that, along with the other thing, we looked at auto sales, skyrocketing. Auto sales are essentially the new subprime lending. So what's going to happen there? So I think those two things are going to weigh very heavily on banks' balance sheets.
So, we got the Consumer Confidence Index number for the month of January. So this factors in kind of all the volatility we've had since the beginning of the year. And it came in pretty positive, above what was forecast. Individual consumers are upbeat, and that includes big ticket items like cars and appliances and so on and so forth. I mean, Kathy, as long as the jobs are there and people are being employed and they're working and they're out there spending, I mean, most Americans aren't necessarily in the stock market, so that volatility doesn't really affect them. I mean, if their home prices also went up again, and that's for many Americans their biggest asset. As long as that continues, is that enough to kind of keep the U.S. economy going?
I don't think it is, because consumer spending, which is the biggest driver of our GDP, is actually not picking up. So the downswing in oil is supposed to transfer from the pump into retail, and that's not happening. I think the average American must believe the numbers that the government is feeding us. But you have to look through those labor numbers, and the BLS is making these adjustments that are accounting for a very large percentage of the numbers for weather. Well, we had warm weather. We just had our first spurt of cold weather. So they've made these adjustments that are artificial. So I don't think labor market is as strong as the Fed and the administration would like us to believe. We've got 68% of the eligible working adult population working. It's the lowest number we've had in 50 years. So I don't think things are as rosy. I don't know how to explain these polls other than I think as long as people have a job and don't feel that they're going to be laid off and there's enough money.
People bought a lot of cars last year.
Yes, because the financing was unbelievable. That's what it is. It's a huge number of loans that are basically free credit. And that's the car companies are now losing money on every car that's going off the lot because they're really pushing these incentives. And if the incentives dry up, I think there go car sales.
But home values are also going up, and that's going to be a factor of demand.
Well, home values.
Some supply, but also demand.
Absolutely, but it's impossible to get a mortgage right now. I mean, I see credits all the time with all kinds of families that, theoretically have a lot of money, but for whatever reason, it's not fitting into the little box that the bank wants to finance them. We're having a lot of trouble right now with a divorce situation where he owns the condo his ex-wife is living in. So it's not investment property because he's paying all the bills. It's not a residence because he doesn't live in it. So it doesn't fall into any one of the little programs. So we're having trouble refinancing that credit. So, that's what I see on a day-to-day basis. So
Yeah.
I think things are not quite as rosy as the big numbers will leave us to believe.
And maybe is the inflation stronger than the numbers show us? Or do you think it's weaker?
No, I think it's weaker. I think that's the Fed's biggest fear is deflation, and I think that is where we're heading.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm the good news chick.
I'm
She
all
did
for
not
it.
bring us homemade cookies, which she sometimes does.
Please tell the truth, Kathy
next time,
Boyle.
cookies, Kathy. I'm just saying.
Coming out,
Always great
chocolate
to have
chip.
you on.
Kathy Boyle, she's president and founder of Chapin Hill Advisors, joining us in our Bloomberg 1130 studio right here on this Tuesday. Coming up, Corey, what do we got coming up? We got Taking Stock.
Yes, Kathleen Hayes and Pim Fox are going to be joined by Stan Humphries, the chief economist at Zillow, to really go over the housing numbers, the Case-Shiller numbers, and upcoming FOMC numbers. So that's going to be great stuff. Stay tuned to Bloomberg Radio, to which you are listening right now.